Browns at the Patriots. This has crept back up to 2.5 in favor of the Patriots. We are sitting with a total of 45 or 46. We know the big news here. OBJ is gone. He is out of town. We don't know where he's going to end up, but he is gone from the Browns. Baker Mayfield continues to play with this injury, but it looks like he's playing all right with this injury. What do I know? I thought when you break your shoulder that maybe it would affect you, but I guess it's not that big of a deal after all. Who knew? The other big news here coming from the Cleveland side is Nick Chubb is set to miss this one with the COVID issue. He is vaccinated. There is a very, very small chance. We have seen, I think the number is 3 players that have been able to make it back in the same week whenever they test positive, but the rate typically has not been very high. Most guys have to miss at least one game. So, Brad, I'll start with you in this one. Browns head to New England to face a Patriots team that, look, the score was not really indicative of what they did on the field last week. They didn't really have to do all that much to beat a lowly Panthers team. What do you make of this Patriot squad? And do you think that they are, at this point, a field goal-ish better than the Browns?
No, I don't think they are. I think the Patriots are a bit of a flat track bully. They can beat the bad teams. So just on offense, I feel like if they can run the ball and you don't force Mac to pass, if you force Mac Jones to drop back and pass 35 times and he has to throw deep and do all that stuff, he can't do it, right? If they can run all over you and he can do a bit of play action, throw a few screens like against the Jets, didn't even need to do it against the Panthers, then he's fine. But if you force him to drop back, you stop the run, which Cleveland should do, fifth in the NFL rush defense DVOA. So this is going to be on Mac Jones, and there's going to be pressure on him because obviously we know about the Browns second in the NFL in pressure rate. So I don't think we see a good game out of the Patriots offense. So I did initially back the Browns plus one. Well, they're about plus 120 on the money line right now, which I think is a good bet. But then I started to think about the other side of the ball. Now, I do think the Browns should be able to run the ball. So obviously that's what they do best. And that's where the Patriots defense is weakest. 20th in rush defense DVOA. Is it? Something like that. I've lost it. 21st in PFF rush defense. So I think they should have some success, but then I'm thinking Belichick, how's he going to stop the Browns team? He's going to stop the run and he's going to say, Baker, you can beat me. And Baker versus Belichick and that defense is more of a concern for me. You think what they did to Darnold last week, think what they've done to a lot of not non-elite quarterbacks. So I kind of hedged that bet with an under 45 as well.
Yeah, I played the Browns in the money line as well. I have the Browns in a teaser leg as well in this one. So look, they're just a better team for me, top to bottom. I mean, I don't see any discernible difference between, look, I understand, D'Ernest Johnson is a guy that you're not necessarily jumping up and down about that he's going to have to carry the load. But listen, when he had to start against Denver, he had 168 total yards. He went for 6.6 yards a carry in that game. And so, listen, this team is just built power to run the ball. And this is not that all running backs are interchangeable. Nick Chubb is one of the top 5 backs in the league. He's awesome. But you do look at a team that their weakness would be their run defense. And I think this team's just built to be able to beat up on teams like this. And as you mentioned, give me this Browns defensive line against Mac Jones all day long. I mean, listen, Mac Jones has been fine. I'm not at all talking shit about Mac Jones. I think that he is, for a rookie quarterback, he's been nice and poised, and he's done what they've asked him to do. But that's all he's had to do. He has not had to go and win games. He hasn't had to really go and have these massive comebacks or anything like that, or been put in weird positions. Like the way that this season has gone for the Patriots, they've either been just like really winning games or really losing games, and not a lot in between for this team. And so I think this is kind of a rude awakening here for this Browns defensive line coming in against the rookie quarterback here. I think the Browns really kind of assert that they are, and Boston, by the way, they're healthier, much healthier on the defensive side of the ball, and then even on the offensive side of the ball as well. So I think just overall, this team that I was super high on coming into the season is finally starting to round back around, because they're, the players that I thought were going to be playing on the field are actually playing on the field for them as well. So I think they're a better team all around, Steven. So I played them on the money line. I also threw them in a teaser leg as well to get it up to 8.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill climb for all three of us if the Browns don't cover this number this week, because I sprinkled plus 115 on the money line on Monday. I'm probably going to use them in a teaser leg to get them over 7.5 this week. And if this line keeps moving the way it is, just because Nick Chubb's out potentially with COVID and we somehow get a flat 3, then I'm going to be on that as well. So I'm not deterred by Nick Chubb being out. I agree with you, Matt. I think he's one of the best running backs in the league, but I still think running backs are worth next to nothing for the spread. And this offensive line is elite. And to echo what Brad said, sure, that there's a concern there that Belichick could confuse Baker and feast on him. But I think this Belichick defense has also not only feasted on poor quarterbacks, but poor quarterbacks that also had poor offensive lines a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And this is now the number 1 pass block win rate offensive line in the league against the number 25 pass rush win rate defensive front for the Patriots. So I think Baker should have time in this game to find some open receivers. So, and then on the flip side, when the Patriots have the ball, it's the number 21 DVOA offense against the number 12 DVOA defense. And like you said, Matt, a lot of those numbers for that defense were when their starters were out. This is an elite defense when they're healthy. This is the number 14 defense, number 14 offense in pass block win rate against the number 1 pass rush win rate defense. Second in pressure rate, despite the number 24 blitz rate for this Browns defense. They get pressure and they have great players on the back end to help and work with that pressure. Now, we do have to monitor Myles Garrett's status. He didn't practice on Wednesday as we record this. It's at least something we need to keep an eye on. But this is a mismatch on both sides, I think, in the trenches. And we're getting 4.5 points of value from the preseason line. And I agree with you guys. I don't think the market has caught up to this Browns team being healthy, and we're getting a number here based on past results when they were really banged up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, not all wins are created equal. Yes, this is a 5-win Patriot team. You go in. Who have they beaten? They beat the Jets. They beat the Texans. They beat the Jets again. They beat the Panthers. Yes, there was a win against the Chargers in there. That was when that Chargers team maybe played the worst game that we're going to see them play all year long. Mac Jones still only threw for 217 yards in that game, and they were able to win against the Chargers. That tells you anything. So, I mean, it's like you get a Panthers team that has been, on the one of the biggest declines in the league, and Darnold ends up having to leave that game with a concussion. Then you've got two wins against the Jets and a win against the Texans. I mean, like it's completely different. They lose to New Orleans. They lose to Tampa Bay. They lose to Dallas. I think that when this team is healthy, that the Browns are at least in the conversation with a lot of those other teams. And so this, again, if you just kind of go by what we've seen so far, should kind of fall in line with all that. Should be a loss here.